Okay, so I gotta talk about this movie and then the other movie that started. Now I remember this movie. It's called Knowing, and there is disclosure in both these movies that I'm watching. Knowing I already finished, and I want to talk about that disclosure. And then the next one I started is called The Forgotten, and it just started right after this one. Like this one ended, and you know how it will start another movie. This is on Hulu. So that's what it did on here. And the one that started was called The Forgotten. So I just kind of was watching to see, like, what was this about? And so in the knowing, the disclosure thing is the solar flare. And I swear I remember talking about this before, but I don't know if I did it on here. But I remember finding it really trippy how they showed it because the solar flare has been talked about in so much prophetic I'm sure they talk about in the Sumerian tablets. They talk about there's a whole bunch of prophecy about it in the book of one. They talk about it, but this solar flare thing has been the talk for a while. I've been hearing about it for 5 or 6 years or something. The same time, I think around the time I started hearing about the water rising. So this solar flare occurrence is supposed to happen. So if this is just, nothing, but they're having it in movies. And so then people could go, well, big deal, they put it in movies, but why do they put some of this stuff in movies? It's because they're putting disclosure. They're either trying to program the way we think, or they're disclosing stuff to us, and they don't have to tell us. Like, they don't have to say, hey, you guys, be aware, this is happening, because they think it's going to cause mass chaos and people will freak out. And like, they just don't have much faith in humanity themselves, these controllers of this realm. And so in this one, it has that it had the little girl who was hearing they called them whispers from the other realm of communication, and these different kids had it where they could hear these other beings talking. And so it had that whole part of it. And then there was a bunch of prophecy where it was all coming true. Oh my gosh, hold on. I heard you. Hey, I'm doing something. Don't knock my stuff over. Excuse me. Okay, so the in the knowing one, so in the solar flare thing, so these this guy opens this time capsule, and the paper he gets has all these numbers, and he figures out these numbers are dates and how many die and coordinates and stuff like that. And so he starts putting a whole bunch of stuff together. But these beings keep communicating with these children, and there's a whole thing about that, what the story is about. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. But when it gets to this point where there's going to be this solar flash, these beings of light come down in these ships, and they take the chosen ones with them and take them to another place and drop them off in another realm, another reality. It kind of is like a beautiful earth where there's lots of beautiful flowers and beautiful colors in the sky. So, it just took them to another reality. So it was like the idea to keep humanity going, and they seed other planets. So they took these kids all to seed this other planet, this other reality. And, these people from space. But look at how much that has been talked about by people, especially these QHHT people have talked so much about it. If you go in and you watch some of Allison Coe's videos where she tells what people have been saying in their thing, she hasn't done it in quite a while because she had gotten so many attacks by people. But if you go in and watch her old ones, you'll hear how many people talk about this event. The whole problem is that she set a date and people freaked out because the date came and went. And so then people just start attacking people. they're like, oh, give me a date. Like, and then look at how much our timelines are being fluid. Like, how could anybody say a date or anything right now? I think that they just keep messing with it and messing with it. And that is, so in this other one that is called, so in that one, they had the space people come and take the kids to the other realm. And then they show the solar flash, but they showed it like fire. Just fire came in and just burned everything up. Burned all of the whole planet and dissolved it into a fiery mist. And, so they don't really show, they have a little bit where they talk about that there's there's another life beyond this life or something. But, they didn't go too much into it because they like to work on the fear part, the part of the end. You will end, you will die. Like, watch out, the sun's going to blow up and blow us up. So that kind of stuff is where they turn it into a kind of an extreme thing, because the sun is more of a plasma and energy. It's not like, I don't think it's like a big fireball, like how they say. So I think that's part of the illusion, but anyways, it just depends on what you believe this reality is. So in the other one, the forgotten, the thing I thought was so interesting, I had a bunch of things that I thought were interesting, because at first she is remembering a child that other people are saying doesn't exist. So at first I was like, oh my gosh, that is so trippy, because a consciousness can create its own reality and make it to where it's real, just like in a dream, like that is real. So, did she really have a child and, everybody else forgot? Did she make up this child? Is she reality jumping? Like, how is she having this child, but other people don't remember? And so, to the point they want to put her in a mental institute. And then it has where she finds somebody else who remembers, and they go on this quest together about like, what's going on? Why are they lying about our children? Why are they trying to cover this up? And why are people forgetting? And then they start bringing in the whole thing. It's like MK Ultra, because she said, it's like they've just wiped everybody's memory. Like, but that sounds too crazy. How could they do that? Well, I mean, we know that they are doing that, so it doesn't sound crazy at all, because they actually do that. They do it all the time. And, and these shifting realities, like when you have somebody who's talking about this happened to them and nobody else knows it, that doesn't mean it didn't happen to them. I mean, these reality slips are real. That's really happening for people. So in this, the part that really got me, where I was like, oh my God, I gotta go talk about this, because they capture, so these two people who are now on the run, they think our kids never died. They're holding them somewhere. Our kids have been taken. And then the other thing too that they keep showing in this movie is the perspective if you were space people looking down on the people. And at one point, even, it seems the sky is trying to communicate with her. See, that is, to me, dropping hints about the consciousness that's around us and how involved these beings really are. So she is, they go, Stella, you just came in, stop it. Stop it. I'm doing something. I'll be done in a minute. That she is, she and this guy now are on this quest to go find like what's going on with our kids, and they start getting chased by the NSA, and the NSA is going crazy to try and capture them. They've got the police involved now because they're saying, our kids are missing. So there's all this drama. If you want to watch this show, I thought I haven't finished it yet, but this part is what I wanted to make the point about. Was so one of these people who's following them, they capture him, and so they're gonna torture the information out of him, what's going on. And he says that after all this torture, that he says that this is an experiment. That's what I have been saying for so long. We are all being experimented on all the time. Social experiments, different chemical experiments, different things in different people's water, different things in different people's atmosphere, different things in different people's food, depending on where it goes, different things in the lot numbers of what goes in us. It's all experiments all over the place. And they say it, they tell us right in our face. But we want to just think, oh, that's in a movie. That's a movie. That didn't really happen. The government experiment on us. The government can wipe people's minds. Oh, are you kidding? That sounds crazy. But then you start finding out that it's real and they're putting it in our face in movies. So this, it's not, I haven't finished it, so I can't spoil it for you. I know I've seen it before, but I have no idea what's about to happen. But, the whole thing is that they do know how to fuck with your consciousness. They do know how to wipe people's memory. They do know how to create people's backstory. Like, they can wipe someone's memory, create them a backstory, put them in a position, and those people would have no idea. They don't have any idea who and what they are or how they're being used. And they have shown this over and over, their capabilities, and they are actually doing it. It isn't made up. It's not in a movie. They actually do it. And, just like how they have these camps where these, young, what is it called? Young entrepreneur Americans or something. And, these people start sending their super accomplished, MIT driven kind of kids to these camps, and then they put them through all this rigorous testing and stuff. And then they find the ones that are like, kind of a little antisocial. They don't really have much empathy for others, are very driven for their own success. And then they put them into positions, like I said, of these companies that they build that are other corporation entities that they create. But, it's all just fingers, it's just the fingers playing a piano. They're all the same people controlling them. They just put people into positions and they go out into the world and headhunt these people who will fit the place, that will play the fiend for them. Even the Juan had been talking about that too, how Zuckerberg's one of these people. There's a whole bunch of them, but that some of these guys, they take them to something out in this training, and they call it the corn and something about harvest. Like, he's talked about that before, and there's been some other drops about that, but they do a lot of training to turn these people into these, like, they probably do get up and MK Ultra, wipe their minds every day and create the persona they want, because, wherever their scale is of their own soul, they're more ego and less don't care about people. And so they're more cut off from their soul. I don't know what the standards are, what they look for, but we can see these certain people who are in power, and then you sit there and think, like, where is their humanity? How can they do this to people? Don't they care? No, they find these people who have these disorders so that they can, and, there's very specific. It's not like they can just go out and find any old psychopath. I'm sure there's headhunters in prisons. They're going to find certain ones, and I'm sure they put them on missions of people who have to be taken out and stuff. That you just have to think about that. This world, they run it like it's the mafia. These are the same kind of people, the same kind of mentality. They use the same kind of rules and scenarios to control us, and everything is that seedy. Just in the whole thing with garbage and recycling. That just shows, and that goes far back, like the mafia with the garbage and stuff, and then these shady deals that they make with these third world countries, that they have to take our recycling, these plastic bottles and shit, where they have nothing to do with them, just litters their street, and then they tell us, hey, because they don't want to take care of the garbage here that they create by giving us these packaging and shit. The other day, this was ridiculous, and I don't know if I already said it, but it was something. I opened it, and there was no reason for this. It wasn't something you would eat, and it was double packaged, double safety packaged, this thing, whatever it was, I can't remember, like a pencil, and the safety package number 1, safety package number 2, like, oh, it's a dangerous thing. So they create that packaging because they're making money off of it, and then they complain to us because it's filling the garbage. Well, they're doing it. It's so absurd. Everything is so absurd. But, they'll market it and campaign it and tell us we need to cut back on this. We need to do that. Oh, and another thing, too, they just got some restrictions lifted now. And I'm sure it's part of the absurdity to wake people up. But now that they don't have to worry about Clean Water Act anymore, corporations can just dump their chemicals in the river, and kill us. And I've already met people who lived in a place that was next to a river where a corporation was dumping their chemicals into it, and all the people in that area got cancer. They don't go and talk about it on the news because the news is part of the extension of the beast, and they're not going to tell us about this stuff. But you can go out, and you just start interacting, start networking, you start finding out things about people, and you find out situations and real scenarios and what's really happening, start putting it all together. You don't just live by their rules and, what they want you to believe. But the movies are showing us all the time with the disclosure, and the way that in this one, how the NSA is obviously working with these, these aliens. It's an experiment. I don't know where this experiment is going as of yet, but, we are an experiment. They are working with the aliens, and our government is out to get us. Those things are all actual, factual things that are true, and they show them in the movie. And this solar flash, I think that they want to keep everybody scared, but we don't die. You can't kill us. We are energy. We are eternal beings. This avatar can end, but we go on. So that is what you really have to get in your head, because even when they're showing about these things that can happen, they always take it to the darkest place possible because they want to keep us in fear. But they have to disclose like these events that are coming and what's going to happen. And, I was even thinking about that Kevin Costner movie. I should go back and watch it again. I think it was called Waterworld or something. But it was when everything was water. And I don't know what event leads to it, but it's like another one of those Armageddon kind of, last days movie, what happens after this huge cosmic event that they've been showing us and telling us that something's coming, but they don't come out and say it. They play games and movies and stuff and disclose things without really telling us, so that there is always this kind of sense of denial. If they came straight out and told people and, gave people the opportunity to prepare themselves. And, the biggest thing is to stop lying to people about death. Stop lying to people about what they're doing here and who they are. That will make the biggest difference. And be people like me who keep speaking out, but people like me get called crazy. That's what they do to control the information. So they don't want people to really understand, because, a good slave is an ignorant slave. A good slave is a slave that doesn't question things. So, that's how they can control things. But everybody's got to think of this stuff for themselves. But anyways, this movie is called Knowing. And it has Nicolas Cage, and it was, I thought it was good. And then the other one, The Forgotten, who is that girl? She has the long red hair. It has a few people you'd recognize. But anyways, both of them are good if you're looking for something to watch. But when you watch things, keep in mind of what they are actually disclosing. Start noticing what part is the programming, what part are they trying to complete the story for me. So yeah, some cosmic event's going to come, and then they complete it by just blowing up the whole world. When other people are saying, that are going under hypnosis, are saying there's going to be ships that are going to come down and take people. It's all about vibration. There's a bunch of people who are going to ride the vibration, and however it's going to go, if we're going to move or whatever's going to happen. You know, they talk about this, the pole shift and stuff like that. But really, we would have to be a ball out spinning to have the pole shift like that. If we are stationary in, you know, in a bubble, then I don't know. That to me is just this kind of big bang energetic surge that's going to happen as the solar system expands. So, you know, I don't think it's a scary thing, even though, you know, it can bring up like anxiety because, you know, we've never experienced it before. You know, from what I've heard, this is the first time where people are actually going to do it. But, you know, go through the process. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of things people say, but when it starts showing up in movies, you just got to think about it. You got to just question things, you know. People are saying it under hypnosis, and then you go and watch a movie. And don't forget that the people, a lot of creative people, you know, do tap in to a source of creativity and information outside around them, that they can hear the communication, you know, write down the stories. So how many of these stories actually do have disclosure coming from the other side who is watching over us? So, you know, I just say, just start paying attention, start noticing again, like where things cross over, where things seem to fit for you. You know, everybody has their own design, their own understanding. So anyways, just more things to think about. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.